Wow, got an audience today. Yeah, mine was pretty good. How about yours, Bentley? What was your holiday haul? Oh yeah, I see the head fading. All right. Well, I mean, I'd like to think we created it together, Bentley. It was your idea. I just did it. Uh, considering trying to add a feature where you could like pick which release you wanted, but I'll have to look into that. Because right now the install script targets the master branch, but we could probably it could be changed, probably amended to ask like, do you want the master branch or do you want the latest release? So yeah, that's good. That's great input. I'm gonna look into that and yeah, I'll probably add it. Thanks, Vlad.
Just a sec, I'm finding a space here to take this meeting. Actually, there's more of a discussion point. Um, like, there are various providers, and currently we mostly work with OpenAI. Um, like we've done some experiments with other providers, but those are, that does not propagate into the project so far. What I would really like is to get a little bit of momentum going on that, to have like a single component, whether it's an internal library or an external library, that we can use to just swap out providers without having to make very big code changes. And I know that I think PHOC made a comment about that earlier, that he was willing to pick that up, which is very cool. I think it's probably useful to kind of get a little bit of strategy on that, like where do we want to put it? Does anyone know about existing libraries that we can use? Because of course, preferably we would just use something off the shelf, but I'm not aware of anything that exists that both allows you to use different providers while providing the same interfaces for things like function calling, maybe JSON mode, functionality that's very useful for us in this case, but that not all providers support. So yeah, does anyone know about like project like that, which provide that kind of functionality? It's kind of an open question to the audience, because if not, I think an option would be to port the chat model provider class from AutoGPT into Forge and just start building that out into like with more providers. Is Zed here? Nope. Okay. So yeah, basically, make sure we have some code somewhere that we can easily swap out providers without losing functionality. That's the goal here. And also, I mean, if this exists and it works kind of well, then this is also something that would be interesting for anyone outside the project who's working with LLMs, just not to be dependent on one single provider, which is of course quite interesting.
I agree. Reliance on one single provider is kind of scary. Sorry.
Yeah, it was interesting situation when OpenAI went down a couple weeks ago. Like they just had a very big outage for, I don't know, half a day or so, and everybody, including ourselves, building stuff on top of their systems, like chatbots everywhere, were just offline and not working because they all rely on the same provider. Now, there's also other examples of things that do work well, like for example, Perplexity. I think I'm not sure if it's Perplexity. Maybe not. Anyhow, there's an LM provider that they just have fallbacks. So you send them a prompt, they will select an LM for you, and if that's not available, they'll just use another one. Which of course is a lot more reliable than having any single one. To U007, yeah, the point is that we use function calling and regardless of which model we use, we need function calling. So if we're using a model that does not have that functionality natively, then we need a library that can communicate with the model, and which also adds a little layer on top that does the function calling and abstracts that from the model. Because you don't want to be implementing that for every single model out there. That's a lot of boilerplate prompting, so to say. Yeah, basically creating API layers for various models, various providers. Anyhow, that was my say in this. If anyone wants to work on this, if anyone has ideas for this or proposals for, look, here's a library that does this, do let us know, because that would really help us forward, and I think also a lot of other people. And I do see some discussion going in the chat, but I don't think we have to wait for that. So I think we can move on to the next point. Not really. There's a development update. I've been doing a lot of work on the benchmark lately. So the benchmark codebase has had a very, very big cleanup over the past few weeks. And I'm about to push integration with Jungle Gym Web Arena, which is a data set of about 820 challenges off the top of my head. And like basically our current benchmark has, I think, 25 built-in challenges with a certain hierarchy, etc. But that's it. And if you really want to explore the capabilities of your agent and kind of granularly figure out what it can do and how capable it is in real world scenarios, you need more data, more challenges than that. And this web arena is a data set of 800 plus challenges, and we're almost done integrating that. So then you can really see how your agent performs in web-based tasks, so browser-based. Browsing the web, gathering data, but also entering data, posting things, whatever you can think of. There's a couple things in the implementation that are not complete yet. For example, it supports a number of different evals, as in like it gives you a task, and at the end of the task, you have to figure out, okay, how well did it do? That's called evals. And those evaluations, there are different types, and one of them is it requires you to kind of get the state of the page that the agent is on in the browser, and that requires access to the browser, which you don't have through the agent protocol, which is kind of an issue. So we'll figure out how to implement that later. But other than that, there's still hundreds of challenges left when you filter those out that are useful to benchmark. So if anyone is building an agent and they're interested in a web browsing benchmark, give it a shot. Jungle Gym Web Arena, yes. I think you can find more info on junglegym.ai. That's it. Probably, yes. It's good that you mention it because I've been working on the in-code documentation, but we probably need to update the README here and there.
Yeah, doing that again. Yeah, there's a few things that we could update. We could probably add the script. There's a few things with initializing AutoGPT, like with the serve, because it's not really clear that you need to do like serve or run and then your flags when you read the documentation. So it's like a little update that can be done.
You mean for running the benchmark, or
Oh, I thought we were talking about just documentation. I I was
oh
referencing like when you actually run AutoGPT and you do your .sa, the whole thing, and then you either do run or you do serve if you want to do the CLI or the front end. But then you need to add, like if you're doing flags, the flags have to go after. And in the documentation, it's not really clear that you need to do those if you're doing flags, like just to see what you need to do. Like if you're doing like a help or something.
right? Okay. Fork is welcome. I mean, sort of. Like we're working with the author of the or one of the authors of the Jungle Gym papers to get this integration going a bit better. Not right now, no. I don't think so. Nope. I think there will probably be a release of the benchmark sometime this week or next week. But right now it's too early for a review. Well, if there's no more questions, I'm gonna go back to work. Because it's a lot easier to support one platform instead of two. Like we sort of support Windows, um, but it's just a hassle to maintain the separate logic for two platforms when we're just trying to kind of build out functionality. Um, and as long as we're not looking to like we are trying to make this as accessible, but we are not at a stage where we aim to provide um, like noob proof user experience. That's not the case. So uh, yeah, basically it's much easier to run on Linux. That's a short story. And if you have WSL, you can run it on Windows through WSL, which is fine.
Thank you very much, everyone.